Hello. I don't, oh, hi. Hello, hero. It's Lucy Lannon. I nearly said, hello, hero. No, I nearly said... It's nice to be reading again, or in front of a camera again at least. Thank you to those who have been bearing with me while the channel has been on hold temporarily and the shop has been on hold temporarily. This is so that I could get into a new environment, which you may notice, a new mindset, which may present itself with me looking a little like I did pre-pandemic. But essentially I didn't want to half-arse anything and give you readings that weren't confidential, readings that weren't heartfelt, readings that were stressed because my energy was under a little bit of attack at that time. Just a whole host of things that are now sorted and calm and everything is groovy and I'm ready to come back to you, hopefully with full energy and enthusiasm and yeah, bring you some new kinds of content amidst continuation of the series of playlists that you're used to here. So if you are new, it's worth subscribing, checking out some of that old content like the lucky dips, the colour readings, etc. And if you are a subscriber, again, thank you for bearing with me. It's been chaotic, but great. You know, it's just one of those things. Obviously, if you are familiar with the channel, you know that I do a lot of lucky dips style of readings where I don't know what I'm reading for at the time that I'm doing it. I kind of like this, it gives spirit free rein a little bit, but I wanted to make a focused place for love readings because so many of you ask for them or message me sort of inquiring about the nature of the private readings I do and how much they can be used for love readings and stuff. FYI, there is a mirrored souls reading that is perfect for like twin flame soulmate connections, and there are other things that can be adapted for love in there, and I love Celtic Cross, I think. But because I get so much kind of chatter in that direction, I want there to be a hub where you can go for a love reading without having to look it up in a kind of index of my random readings. So the last Tuesday of every month will be your love reading go-to. Side note before I forget, if you do want to book with me, I'm having a 10% off sale shop-wide for the amount of time that I was away for. I can't remember off the top of my head the number of days that is because it's been a long day, but I will put it just down here, the sort of start and end date of when the shop is open and when the sale will finish, but the shop will remain open. So if you want to get in at a slight discount, now is a good time. That said, let's do a love reading for singles, couples, polycules, just the collective in general. Obviously, with it being a general collective, there will be various interpretations and not everything will resonate directly, hit home directly. But if it's near enough, or if it's something that you felt you needed to hear, I would love to know in the comments because that is what I'm here for. So please do let me know the extent to which things resonate. And we'll get started, I guess. I'm using the Blood Tarot because it's like it's almost like a hybrid for me between a tarot deck and an oracle deck, because as you can see, there's kind of Rorschach images using the creator's own blood. That is dedication. This was a Kickstarter one, I think, that then became an indie deck that's available on Etsy. No affiliation, I just think it's rad. And it gets you in the right, I guess, frame of mind. I don't know, you just want to know what decks we're using, don't you? That's as simple as it is, really. So yes, it's the Blood Tarot today. Okay, let's tune in. I'm really like nervous and excited. It's like I'm reading for the first time again because I've taken such a long break. I've been reading very heavily for myself whilst house hunting, but it's sort of unfamiliar again to be reading for you, so I apologise if I'm yammering on. It's not my usual style, but we'll see where we get with that. Okay, so for my collective, as I'm calling it, my current subscribers or people stumbling upon this at random, what do we have in terms of messages about love? Okay, the first thing I'm hearing is that this is not just romantic love. Many of you will have come for that, and if you're stumbling upon this at random. It's more likely to be romantic love, but it can be kind of either. I'd like a third, please. You know I work in threes, thank you. Right, which one? Right. Let's have a neb. So we've got a Four of Pentacles in reverse, a King of Pentacles in reverse, a Page of Cups. Okay. The situation for all of you is a lack of stability somehow. And I think that this is related to a masculine or somebody who would identify as the more assertive party within this bond. Now, whether this bond is a romantic one, which for many of you it will be, or whether it is, you know, familial or friendship, as was specified for some of you in that intro, there is the person that is normally the kind of, I want to say like the acting or leading party. It's very cardinal kind of energy. I'm not going to say the person with the most agency, but certainly the person who normally has their shit together and kind of dictates the pace of this, is in a bit of flux, is not feeling themselves, and that's leading you to feel quite, what's the word? Quite rocked, quite taken off your feet, quite, you're like a two-legged stool at the moment. It's like the potential is there to be stable, but the ingredients are not quite there, and you could take a tumble at any moment. Not a threat. Not a diagnostic, because a diagnostic is a curse. We don't do that here. Yeah, it's just you're feeling out of sorts. You're feeling like maybe your immediate home environment is not where you would like it to be. And that's because of this person's lack of integrity to how they normally behave. I'm not going to say that they're having a problem. I'm not going to say that they're making a problem. What I'm going to say is that this behaviour, whatever it is anachronistic to the way that they usually operate. Now, with the Page of Cups in the upright, it all has to do with somebody's imagination, somebody's dreams, somebody maybe being off in this Neptunian dream space a little bit much for real life. Is that you or them? So Knight of Swords in reverse. I do feel this is them, but I feel that also there could be an issue here with making sure that somebody isn't too verbally hasty. Now, this could either mean that they are so up in dreamland that they're wanting to spout it all out at you and it's not going to make sense. It's going to be this like territory of ridiculous abstraction, and you're like, I just want to set a date for this thing, or I just want to go here, or can you just tell me how you feel either way, that kind of stuff. And they're just like, but I had this dream and it was this and there was the flying bread and blah blah. Or they're kind of like, I've got this big idea, I really want to go forward with this project, and they're yammering on about it, and you're thinking, okay, but how does that relate to us? How does that relate to grounded realities, pentacles energies in the upright, or indeed intellectual realities, ideas, swords, the defense of this connection. Even if it is a relationship, then we're talking you feeling a bit put out that they're not going to stand up for the connection because they're just so enthusiastic about some kind of new idea. It's not a third party. I know that that's where some of you are going to go when I say that. It's more like a love of love, or a love of life, or just going off on flights of fancy. This person may act as if, in the words of Fred Astaire, they are fancy free and free for anything fancy, because they're enthusiastic about the nature of things at the moment. But I don't actually think that they are, nor do I think that that's an accurate reflection of how life is playing out, how it's going to play out. And what's coming forward is a very Neptunian communication about this. I was studying today stuff about kind of Mercury and Pisces energy, and it's very like that. So let me know below if your partner does have Mercury and Pisces, or you do. But it's this kind of thing of empathizing with everybody and everything so much that it's actually difficult to articulate an idea that is solely yours or that is unique to your relationship. It's like you want to understand everything so much that it's like people are begging you to decide on a certain thing, a certain individuation of a concept or a project. I'm feeling project with this, I don't know why. So yeah, Knight of Swords reversed is always sort of crap communication, really. There's some kind of miscommunication going on between you, or there's an inability for this person to correctly articulate that you are indeed one of their priorities. And what that's leading to at the kind of root of everything is that you feel unstable. Now, I don't know that the situation is unstable. That's not something that's coming across in this. I think it's just that you have a frustration with this person being too whimsical, frankly. Being too, and this thing and great. And it's like, no, really, there are some realities here and now to be dealt with. And this isn't cool. So what am I getting from the oracle stuff? Can we hone in? For some of you, you want to ground this into a physical situation because I'm seeing rabbits here. So somebody wants to fuck, right? It's not the only meaning of rabbit, but it's certainly a rabbit interpretation that has been on my mind recently. And it's what's leaping out from this kind of Rorschach blood stuff. There's also like a splitting of the heart coming out in the symbolism here, which makes me think that this person is in two minds about where to go next. Not with the relationship, but it's just that they're so preoccupied with that divergence or dichotomy or decision between things that they're not giving enough time to you. And what you're feeling is very sticky, very frustrated, very prickly about the whole thing. I'm seeing like stick insects, and I don't know whether you've had the sensation of them walking over your hand before, but it's very unique. It's not even like, I can't compare it to anything. It's not like holding a spider or something like that, which is comparatively fuzzy. It's very like pokey, needly. It's a bit sharp. And I think that, you may have been having pins and needles or kind of sharpness or twinges. And if you have been having anything nerve-related that is not something you normally have, it might be kind of related to this situation and feeling a bit pinpricked by it. It's really uncomfortable. I'm like channeling it through my body and I don't like it at all. But that's not to say, as observed earlier, it's not to say that the situation is a bad one. It's just to say that I pick up on how uncomfortable and how irritated it's making you that this person can't seem to ground themselves and realise that they need to talk to you about something. So what do they need to talk to you about? Let's have a look. Right, okay. For some of you singles, this is quite big, isn't it? This is somebody just literally not sharing their emotion with you. Not saying how they feel about you, like in the most obvious sense, right? But there will be other interpretations. So we've got an Ace of Cups. We've got a Queen of Wands in reverse. And we've got a Queen of Swords in reverse. You feel like your defenses have been lowered, but you also feel like the sexual component of this relationship, if indeed it's that kind of relationship, is subtracted from this because of the amount of confusion that's been involved. So it may be that you've opened up to love recently, or at least to communication with this person if it's not a love situation. It will be for most of you. But it's like with the effort that went into all the shadow work and all the sort of stuff about your own defenses and your own past, your own relationship history, with all the work that went into making yourself more amenable as a partner, more open to being loved, receiving love, all those kinds of energies, you're so tired that like you want to fuck, but it's almost like you don't have the inclination to do that. And if it's not about fucking, if you're asexual or it's just an asexual connection in some way, then this is like the subtraction of fruity, exuberant, enthusiastic, sunflowerish, cat-like energy. Some of you will know what I mean with that sequence of words, but it's just like all of the life, all of the bombast is being seeped out of this by the fact that this person won't communicate their feelings. And that is very, very clearly what is going on here, which is weird because we've got this ace and the page in the same suit. Like technically, this person's emotional enthusiasm for the situation that they're currently embarking on, should translate to an overall opening. It's like in chakra energy, this would be that their heart chakra is opening up. But it's like they're putting that into an area of life that is not you. And that's why you feel that they're not communicating their feelings for you as much as they should be. For those who are already in relationships, polycules, marriages, whatever, this is somebody who, like for you, maybe one of your primary love languages is words of affirmation, right? And this person currently is not able to express this sword's energy of words into words of love, which would be the Ace of Cups. They're literally not able to tell you how they feel. And it's because they've got enthusiasm for other areas of their life, and particularly like a love of lots of different areas that are sort of seeping into each other. But there's no lack of love here. There's no lack of appreciation for you. If anything, I think that part of this jubilance about their current circumstances and this new endeavour is like they see you as related to it somehow. So they want to relate it back to you verbally. They want to be able to tell you about their new passions, the directions in which they're moving. For many of you, this person has become a student recently, or they're kind of, they're on the very beginning of a journey towards some kind of knowledge or qualification, accreditation, etc. And they're so happy about that and how it fits in with everything else in their life. But they also see it as fitting in really, really well with you. It may be that you've already studied this thing, or that they just think of you a lot when they're studying it. And they want to share their enthusiasm of the subject with you, not realizing that what you're interpreting that as is a lack of enthusiasm for them specifically as people, or a lack of enthusiasm for the relationship, because for them the sexual component of the relationship is sort of the creative energy that was put into that has diverged into something else. So again, it's not a lack of feeling for this person. If anything, from this person, sorry, if anything, it's like an overabundance of feeling in too many areas, and you're seeing that as a lack of feeling towards you, whereas actually it's just like, again, it's very Neptunian, it's very dreamlike, it's very Piscean. They've got so many things going on that they want to put their love into all of those things. And that's translating as like, it's translating to you as neglect, is what I want to say. There's a very like scorpionic defensiveness and need to protect this connection from your end. And I don't think it's under fire. I don't think it's at risk. I think that the instability you feel is not accurate to how life is. And I say that with love because I've very much experienced this feeling in the recent past. But you've got to understand that this person's lack of expression in a specific way that you would express yourself is, it's neither an indication that they can't express themselves fully or an indication that they don't want to express themselves to you. It's just that their language at the moment is a different one. For some of you, literally. I'm hearing. It's, what else have we got with this? You might be a dancer for some of you. There's like a love of dance with this Ace of Cups, or you may want to go dancing with this person, or they may want to go dancing with you. I'm just seeing dancing. I'm seeing a pair of people dancing. And again, with like the Fred Astaire, fancy free and free for anything fancy energy, that is a ballroom reference, so that may be coming into it for some. Maybe you're an established couple who like to dance together. If any of these confirmations hit, by the way, hit me up in the comments and let me know, because it's very gratifying to see when they do. But again, that's not for everyone. It's just something I'm picking up. What else have we got with this? Yeah, you feel like they're wearing a mask, but they're not. That's the thing. They're not being deceptive. They're being spread thin or spread out over. Spread thin is too dramatic. They're being attentive to so many things that they seem inattentive. It's a very, without appropriating or being sort of, I don't want to use like a health term in the wrong way here, but for some of you there is like an ADD or ADHD energy very strongly. in that this person is unable to concentrate on one specific thing at the moment, and they're enthusiastic about a lot of different things, but that may lead to inattention, and particularly an inattentive partnership. All right, what else do you want us to know about this then? This guy's been wanting to come out for a while. This is the moon in reverse. So that's at the core of things. So this isn't going to last forever. That's what's being said. Yes, it feels chaotic now. It's particularly destabilizing for you. I want to say it's not because you've not done the work, right? Because if you're on this channel, if you're looking through tarot readings, chances are you've done a lot of shadow work. You've reflected on your own self-concept as it relates to love. There are readings on my channel for that kind of thing, by the way. I don't think it's that you've not examined yourself, but I do think that there's a particular area of this that is making you in particular feel insecure, and it might be to do with past triggers. Again, we've got to like harken back to your past relationships somehow popping up in this. And I want you, again, like your responsibility as the spiritual person within this dynamic, or not the spiritual person, because they are also spiritual, but as somebody who is aware within this dynamic, and I'm presuming you are if you're watching tarot, you have a certain responsibility to distance yourself from the idea that everything is done to you, and accept sometimes that there are things that are particularly triggering because of your background that may then be bigger issues, and that you have the spiritual capability to deal with those things separate to blaming a person for that reaction. I'm not trying to say that you're a reactive person, but I am saying that there's something in this that's setting off some kind of trauma from your past that's making you feel less worthy, less lovable. Perhaps there is a root belief that you don't deserve attention, and that's maybe colouring this perception of them as inattentive. Or maybe in the past you've had connections with people where when they get particularly fired up about a subject that's nothing to do with the relationship, it sort of spells the end for you, or it means that there is going to be some neglect or something. That's not what's happening here, but it might be what you feel like is happening, if that makes sense. I hope that this is all clear. Let me know. Okay, so we've got a 7 of Swords in reverse. There is no treachery here. There is no betrayal. There is no cheating going on. As I said earlier, there is no third party. If that's something you've been worried about, I don't think you need to worry at all. I think what it is that, like I say, this is a particularly triggering dynamic for you, and a particularly floaty energy from them, and the combination of the two is not productive. So yeah, it's that moon energy of feeling wild, but as I said, it's about to be over. And then we've got the Death card in the upright. Don't panic. Death in the upright is always an indication of an ending. That doesn't mean your relationship's over. What it does mean is that this particular pattern, this energy, will be outgrown very quickly. So again, it's kind of seconding this moon reversed. It's saying that this is something which, it might feel like a very acute situation now, but it's about to be over. It's about to shift into... Sorry, I will go through the sort of oracular component, but I want to know what's going to happen next first. So we've got a... can I have one more for that, please? All right. Hello. So we have a 9 of Pentacles with a 10 of Cups. Very different energies, but when they're in combination, it lifts that 9 of Pentacles out of what it would normally mean. So what I'm saying here is that the sort of immediate future is that you feel more independent, and you begin to mirror them. You begin to also have lots of different projects on. You begin to also be enthusiastic about some kind of new course, path, friendship group, location, you name it. But there's something new for you that snaps you back into, oh, actually, I am a really independent being. Actually, I do really enjoy my life. I'm glad that they enjoy theirs. I'm glad that they have a lot of other concerns than this relationship, because that's what's healthy for a partnership, or, you know, more. And And it's kind of, it's almost as if something external to this situation is going to pop up for you that makes you go, oh, actually, it's fine. You know, I get fired up about stuff too. Sometimes I'm a little inattentive too because of that stuff. And therefore, if I tap into my independent energy, their independent energy is going to feel less harsh, less unstable. And with the Ten of Cups coming in, essentially the relationship is repaired to the furthest extent that you can imagine that, right? I always refer to it as like the, whatever your idea of the white picket fence is, see my your future spouse, what you fucking hate about them reading, the intro to that. It's sort of, you know, I cover that it doesn't mean the same for everybody. It's not always going to be marriage and babies and a, you know, suburban home. But whatever your definition is of the ultimate thing for a particular relationship or the ultimate goal for this one, that is absolutely within reach. I think it just takes you to step into your independence and go, oh, actually, this isn't personal. I'm thinking of the book, The Four Agreements, with that, so you might want to read that if you haven't. I'll link it down below if I remember, but please remind me if I don't. All right, so what are we talking about in terms of stuff from this Rorschach and stuff from Spirit? Can we get more detail? I'm getting a bit of a warning for you. It's not directly love related, but it's related to the situation. If you've been dealing with what you perceive as lack from this person by being extravagant with yourself, kind of Jupiter and Aries energy of soft life, covered in feathers, it's very decadent. And if you've been kind of self-soothing with acts of decadence, I want to say, or maybe even like acts of theatricality or perhaps overspending, those sorts of things, careful with that, because this energy of instability with the moon is about to finish. But that kind of, I want to say like living beyond your means, but it's not necessarily just financial means. It's like living beyond your energetic or spiritual means, in that you have a separate communication issues, no shit. You have a set trajectory for yourself that is, it's not fixed in stone. We're not about determinism on this channel. That's not how I believe tarot works, FYI. But there is something, you know, purpose-wise that Spirit would like you to be doing. And there is a way of living that is beyond the means of that as well. So I don't just mean buying yourself a case of champagne to distract yourself from the truth. I also mean doing things that are particularly decadent, which may take you off your path, your true will, your magical practice if that hits, your spiritual practice, or what you feel is your purpose and legacy in life in general. So whilst it's always good to be generous with the self, make sure that you're not doing that as a kind of form of escape from this or from the feelings that it brings out in you, to the extent that you're distracted from the truth of who you are, is what I want to say. If you're interested in the truth of who you are, I do a reading for that as well. Gifts of Purpose, I think it's called, but we look at the North Node, the true will, all kinds of stuff in there, and it's tarot and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, don't be overly indulgent with the self, but that's kind of your only warning. Like, you know the work that you're meant to be doing. You wouldn't have found this if you weren't in a position where you can reasonably and rationally go, here is where this behaviour is unreasonable, and here is where my issues trigger me a lot. And this is the point where those things meet and rub up against each other, and this is how much of one and how much of the other. And the bit that you can work on is you, right? You can't force this person to be more focused on you at the moment. Indeed, I think it's very difficult to pull anybody out of Page of Cups energy. Nor should you try, because it's quite a lovely, childlike, imaginative, pure space to be in. But I think your response to it is perhaps less about this person and more about how you want to go forward in the future. This is an experience that's teaching you what you want to manifest for, who you want to be, the kinds of patterns you want to leave behind. and the kinds of thoughts about yourself that you want to remove from the association with somebody else doing their own thing, which is why we've got this Nine of Pentacles thing. Essentially, this like sort of mini problem in the connection is teaching you how to be an individuated soul. And for that, you can thank this person because it's a real gift. For some of us, it takes a very long time to learn, right? Most people don't sort of begin to learn individuation until at least after the Saturn return around 29-ish. If then, like I find that in my mid-30s, I'm only just kind of figuring out how to be completely by myself and content with that in order to draw in the kinds of romantic attentions that aren't bad for me, right? So for those of you who are on a twin flame and soulmate journey as well, if you've come for that, it's interesting that this issue is coming up for you because from experience, it tends to be the last thing that's healed before that stuff takes off, right? You really need to know how to be yourself and by yourself and always on your purpose no matter what before you can present yourself to another human and say, listen, this is fully what I am, without editing, without issues from the past, all that stuff, so that they can love you for the whole picture and not just a part of it, right? So we're dropping, I hate the term karmics, but we're dropping connections that don't fit the full unedited vision of who we are and what we want out of life. We're dropping anything that we have to present in a certain way for, and we're just going to brutal honesty, which, by the way, with a lot of sex in your reading, I know at least one person watching will agree with me on this, but brutal honesty is one of the most sexually attractive things you can have, because when a partner knows actually what you want, kind of underneath societal expectations, underneath the things that you think you should and shouldn't say to them, they can sort of react back to that in their truth and connect with you on a deeper and more intimate level, which leads to fucking fantastic, gratifying sex. So well done if that's you. If it wasn't necessarily a sexual connection, just know that, you know, similarly, the more you step into your own energy, the more you feel comfortable doing your own thing and comfortable with everybody else doing theirs, no matter how isolated that might temporarily make you feel, the better things are going to be in terms of coming together with other people, right? We learn, it's a very Libran thing, we sort of learn both sides of an issue before we learn the correct balance or cooperative path on that issue. And this is what is happening for you now. It's like a minor drama, but a huge lesson. I'm actually kind of envious. Well, I say that, I don't actually want to go through this lesson again. It was a bit rough. But I'm envious in terms of like, it's massively opening up for you. If you're single and there's nobody in mind, and this is just related to somebody else in your life, but you've come for a love reading, this is you opening up to the energy of knowing what partnership really, really is, because you're finally knowing yourself. So I hope that hit home for you. Please comment if it did. Please like, subscribe, ding the dong. Thank you kindly. I'll be back next week for more kind of regularly scheduled content. Or you can choose to join me at the end of next month for another love reading, or indeed book with me privately. But I hope that whatever this is, you can share in the other person's enthusiasm, add some fire and fuel to your own enthusiasms, and come together in a unique harmony that is a genuine kind of, it's not a same thing, it's a compatibility of difference. It's a beautiful fitting of jigsaw puzzle pieces together in the right way. Take care.